Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Billotte, founder of Veritas Exercise, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I would like to welcome Crystal Bovell. She is the executive director for Summerville's Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels has been around since 1982, over 40 years, and they've served over 1,300 meals per week. Welcome, Crystal. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Bill? Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. So, Crystal, tell me all the stuff that's going on. We were talking a little bit before we got started, and it's like you had an interesting route to get into Meals for Wheels, and you've got this passion for it now. So tell everybody about that.
Okay. Oh, gosh. So, to kind of go back a little bit in time, I moved here from California, coming from kind of a corporate environment in Los Angeles County. And as you move to the South, you cannot help but get connected to the heart, I think, of this area.
Yeah.
So, I got asked by a neighbor to come volunteer with her. And for 3 years, I had the pleasure of really connecting to the mission and to the folks that we were seeing weekly. That meant everything to me at that point. And so when an opportunity came to help part-time in the office, I went ahead and applied for the position. And, through the succession of things, I'm now in the seat as a director. But I can tell you, I did not go to college for this. I did not certainly come in with any preconceived notions of what a board was or what bylaws were or
Right.
strategic plans. It was simply I wanted the folks that I was serving to continue to receive the connection and the nutrition, and I wanted to do it in a way that brought dignity and compassion. And so essentially it was almost a reinvention of, I would consider the program in its infancy, even though it was almost 40 years old at that point. We
Right.
were still operating without a website. We didn't have any, true cloud or data
Really?
systems in place. We had no in our bylaws, there were no term limits. So a lot of the folks that were like 30 plus sitting around the table, all pouring their heart and soul into this, club or almost like a civic organization that they wanted to see thrive, but there wasn't like this business model or
Right.
this strategy in place. And so it was, okay, how do I take this corporate experience and couple it with the heart and the passion of this community while still giving sort of the integrity to the folks that built it with such intention.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a privilege, truly. It's obviously had its bumps in the road, but I think that's with everything that you
Right.
care about. And when you go in with this open mind of what don't I know and what can I learn and how can that serve, you're going to find solutions in the darkest corners. And
Yeah.
so starting in 2018, 2019 came along, and then boop, here's COVID. So everything that we had kind of implemented went out the window.
Right.
And, how are we going to serve our clients who are obviously fragile in this environment, as well as protect our over 250 volunteers who are also, a lot of them are seniors themselves. So they shouldn't be, infected with this crisis.
Right.
Um, and so we reached out to the community. And if you can imagine, there were two of us in the office at that time. Again, we were working from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday. And
Wow.
we had the news show up, and they reached out and they said, hey, Meals on Wheels of Somerville needs help. And we had hundreds of
Oh,
people
wow.
pouring in, just like, how can we serve? How can we serve?
Right.
And we met some of the most amazing people. We delivered once a week
Oh,
to
really?
kind of make sure everyone was okay. We did a rotation of a 2 week delivery program. So it put 14 days between deliveries, again, to make sure no one became ill during that 2 week
Right.
period. So
Right.
it was almost a reinvention. But afterwards, what I thought was interesting was we asked our clients, as we went back onto a 5 day delivery, what serves you best? And they
Right.
said it really was beneficial to have a day or two during the week for appointments. So we've now gone to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday delivery where
Okay.
we deliver 2 meals on each day. It gives the clients the opportunity for those appointments or other arrangements that they've made.
Right.
And one of the facts that came back, which was most interesting, was I really enjoyed picking the meals that I
Yeah.
could eat each
Oh,
day.
that's nice.
We assume, as someone who's doing good work,
Right.
that you're like, of course you're waiting for me and my meatballs.
Right. Of
Like, you
course.
just assume, like, of course, why wouldn't you want to eat what I'm giving you?
Yeah.
But them getting to pick from like maybe meatballs and a pork chop, just that simple, independence really did, I think, impact that time. And so we were like, you know what, this serves both sides of the coin. Since all of our volunteers give up their own time, their own
Right.
gas, it serves, I think, in the most effective way with the most intention. So we still are doing that today. So out of COVID, we did adapt, and I think it was for the better. But
Right.
those are just some of the things I think that have really kind of, I don't know, turned over what was maybe for many, many years into something that is still relative
Right.
and still ever growing. And so, yeah, it's been a pleasure. I can tell you, we have a mighty team of 5. We're all part
Oh,
time,
wow.
like I said, and it grew from 2 in the office to 3 to 4 and now to 5. So it's a slow growing, but we are at 8%. So 8% of what we spend goes to admin, and the rest really
Oh,
goes right
that's
into the
good.
mission. So
Yeah.
we're proud of that.
Yeah. That is great. And
Mhm.
you have a lot of clients in. Is it mainly the Somerville area, or is it the Metro Charleston area? How do you guys kind of say this is my area we're serving?
Absolutely. Great question. So, if you live in Somerville, we go there
Mhm.
because it's interesting. Everyone thinks like Meals on Wheels, they think national,
Yeah.
and it's
Exactly.
all the same, right? And it's not, it's a membership.
Oh,
So,
okay.
on the national level, they lobby, and they do that for a lot of the government agencies that have multi-million dollar budgets
Right.
with, yoga classes, all the wonderful things at a senior center. But you can opt to be just a simple grassroots program as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So our budget's just over $400,000. And because of that, we pay $250 a year. And that gives us access to, some digital information,
Oh,
maybe
cool.
some statistics, things of that nature. But there's no funding that comes from the national level.
Right.
So it's not like going into Starbucks where you order the latte in Texas, like you order it in Florida, like you order it in South Carolina. Every Meals on Wheels that you go into is going to feel and be operated uniquely.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we're able to do the deliveries differently. A government agency, for instance, if you had on the menu that they were getting bananas on Tuesday, but someone walked in with fresh strawberries, they
Right.
can't adapt.
Right.
We're able to kind of shift and pivot as needed, which means we can serve our client not just like a number on a roster, but more like a customer.
Right. Right. And so you guys are kind of, I think of it in kind of a sciencey way. You guys are all about food security, but you're also bringing up this interesting thing, which is you're helping people be independent, and
Mhm.
that's that. I mean, the older you get, the more you appreciate that kind of concept and that kind of ability to do things and have some independence. Is most of your clients are they in a certain age range? Are they elderly? Are they young? Where does it kind of fit? And how do they, how do you even find out about them?
hmm Great question. So, our clients are generally seniors.
Okay.
Because we are not government funded, we don't have the age or the income criteria that
Oh, okay.
those agencies have.
Right.
So, we have served a high school student whose father was chronically ill
Right.
because obviously he shouldn't have to worry about food.
Exactly.
And we've served people that were over 100 years old.
Okay.
So, the majority are senior and they are with a medical situation. It could be mental, it could be physical, it
Right.
could be a whole slew of things. But we show up basically when they're unable to prepare that meal for themselves.
Oh,
And
nice.
typically they live alone and then they're homebound as well.
Right.
So we do get the referrals from doctors or social workers.
Oh, cool.
We will have family that refers them to us. We also have people that reach out themselves that need support. We see that especially now with the inflation that's happened. Really, I mean, it's been years now that we've been struggling with inflation.
Right.
But I mean, just some of the statistics, it's really a lot of seniors now are no longer living their best life as seniors. Some of them are just trying to outlive inflation.
Right, right.
So, they're making those hard choices, but that's a lot of times when we kind of come in there and make the assessment. We also have a screening committee, which is unique.
Oh, good.
That screening committee is built of volunteers. So essentially, you threw in your application, we reached out to you, we checked with your doctor to make sure that it matched what you were saying on the application, as well as there are no dietary restrictions.
Oh, okay.
And then we have volunteers who are retired medical staff.
Oh,
So
cool.
again, could be social workers, could be a nurse, a doctor, any one of those fields. We
Right,
partner them with just a regular volunteer,
right.
and they go out together with this sort of rubric, and they assess, what is their fall risk,
Oh, yeah.
different things like that. So when it comes back, we have sort of a whole assessment.
Wow.
It really kind of gives us the best trajectory as to, okay, can we even serve this client with our limited resources, or do they need more than a
Right,
meal and a
right.
well check? And how are we serving that need outside of what we are providing?
Wow.
And so now we're meeting with other local senior businesses, from home care, just a whole slew. And that's also exciting, something that we're working on, because I feel like it is so much more than the meal. A lot of times the
Yeah,
meal gets us to the door,
yeah.
but you might run into, someone who feels very isolated. We have someone who never opens the door to the volunteer,
Right.
calls us every single week, and literally knows all of our names, our children.
That's
And
funny.
it's so unique. He has a radio voice. Like, we've told him, you should be in radio. Like,
Yeah.
you're Mr. Palmer, you're amazing. And again, it's the isolation that we're also combating. So
Right.
every person is unique, but every application that comes in, again, we try to holistically embrace that person and do right by their needs, not just like, oh, here, eat this.
Right. That's amazing. I mean, that the holistic approach is just, I'm just like, that's like the best thing I've ever heard. I mean, really, it's like, it's more than just, hey, we're just gonna, like you say, we're just gonna deliver a meal and move on with life. No, it's like, okay, how can we help you? And
Mhm.
that really kind of fits with the spirit of the Charleston area here. It's like, how can we help our neighbor?
Mhm.
And
100%.
so do you, for the food stuff, do you work with like local farmers, the farm market, or Whole Foods, or
Mhm.
who do you work with to kind of source all that kind of stuff?
So we initially, when I started, we had two chefs in the kitchen and we were cooking everything.
Oh, wow.
And it was very much like, gosh, okay, we are on a church campus. We are going to hit capacity at some point with
Right.
the facilities that we have.
Right.
And when you are trying to feed a small number of folks and do it yourself, you have to have what I consider a higher budget.
Yeah.
Whereas when you partner with like the Lowcountry Food Bank, who is
Okay.
putting out hundreds of meals,
Right.
we were able to drop the cost of our food, or our meal per person kind of
Right.
cost, at $2.15. We were able to, in
Wow.
2019, offer you a nutritious meal. That would include the protein, the starch, the vegetable, and the dessert, the fruit that
Right.
was included. Um, Now, believe it or not, it's at $3.70. That's
Oh,
how
wow.
much inflation has almost doubled.
Yeah.
But it has sort of also prompted us to reassess like partnerships in the community. So we are also excited about relocating to what we call the Little Blue House.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of this yet.
No, I haven't heard of it.
So the five churches that started us, one of them is Bethany United Methodist Church.
Okay.
They had a Little Blue House across the street from the church, which was not being utilized.
Oh, cool.
And last year in February, they said, hey, we have a small foundation. We'd like to grant y'all $40,000 to build a commercial kitchen inside this Little Blue House.
Wow.
We matched that fund, and it took a little bit more to kind of get the home into proper,
Right.
you start punching holes, you find things.
Yes,
And
always.
so it's a little bit more, but we are super excited. The community has stepped up. We've had nights companies donate concrete. I mean, it's just incredible, again, how people have just rallied around us to make this possible. And once we get into this kitchen, we want to reinvent the concept of our food
Right.
with a partnership, local restaurants included.
Oh,
Vicious
nice.
Biscuit is our first.
Okay.
We are going to receive from them scrambled eggs, home potatoes,
Oh,
chicken
wow.
sausage, and a buttermilk biscuit. And we're able to do that for under $3 a meal for our clients. So we're not compromising in any way. They're getting actually more, and we're able to save a little bit on the cost,
Right.
which means we can turn that into other opportunities. Maybe we're providing dairy or additional fruit. So, we're just super excited about that. We're also doing that with Five Guys.
Oh,
So we're going to
nice.
do a quarterly cheeseburger and a bag of chips, because some of this is like, I don't want to just show up with food. I want you to be excited to eat, because as we
Right.
kind of age and we don't feel well, maybe food doesn't look the same, taste the same, or feel the same.
Right.
So if you know that we're kind of coming with something unique here and there, it gives you the motivation, I guess, to open the door and see what's in the bag. And, oh, what is it this week? Or, oh, I can't wait. Next week, we're getting a biscuit and
Yeah.
scrambled eggs, So, and it gets, again, the local community, as far as the restaurant businesses, involved
Oh,
in what
yeah.
we're doing. So, and then I'd love to, in the commercial kitchen, offer cooking classes
Oh, yeah.
where maybe you come out, you learn how to make chocolate chip cookies, but instead of you going home with a dozen, you're making those cookies for folks in the community. So again, it kind of brings an awareness when people come into the space, and it couples it with something that feels good when you leave.
Yeah.
So there's just a whole lot of opportunity, I think, to, again, reimagine what service looks like, outside of, okay, here's our tray with the film. How do we reimagine this so that it is quantifiable and valuable? It has equity in the
Right.
person's hands.
Right. Right. Yeah. I know. It's like you were talking about the chocolate chip cookies. And I know I look forward every week. My wife goes to Lowe's, and Lowe's has this amazing, what they call it chocolate chunk, but I call it chocolate chip, amazing chocolate chip cookie. And I'm like, hey, if I could get that every week, I'd be pretty excited. And,
Exactly.
and you were also talking about getting the culinary folks involved. And I know, like, the local high schools, they have culinary classes. Maybe, maybe in the future get high schoolers, or even, I don't know if Trident Tech does it, but there may be other schools around here that would love to get involved. How should they, if people are hearing what you're saying, they're saying, hey, we could do something. How did they
Mhm.
get a hold of you? How did they get involved with this?
Absolutely. So I would recommend just calling the office. We have a singular line. So
Okay.
again, we're still a small town. You probably I might pick up the phone, or might be someone else here, but 843-873-8224 is the number. You can
Nice.
also send us a message through the website. And if you just Google Meals on Wheels of Somerville, we pop up pretty
Oh,
quickly.
cool.
So you can reach out through that avenue as well. Gosh, that would probably be your best ways to get involved. Again, because we're kind of transitioning. You could almost consider us a little bit homeless. We have a couple months before hopefully we move
Right.
into this new space. So our volunteerism and all of that is a little bit on pause while we're trying to assess, packing and
Yep.
logistics. But, come, I think, fall, we're really looking to kind of ramp up. And we also have something called our TLC committee that'll be starting this fall, that is going to give people the opportunity to either bake goods independently and bring them in for our clients.
Oh,
You
nice.
could sign up for a visitation. So we'll have two folks go out to individuals that would like to visit with someone
Right.
more than just during delivery. And
Right.
then we have small repairs, simple things like getting on a ladder to change a light bulb. Some people just shouldn't be doing that. So, if we
Like
can
all of
identify
us.
exactly, I myself, I'm already like, oh, it seems really high.
Yeah.
So, being able to kind of support those needs, or maybe they need a little help with their lawn care. So we want to partner again with agencies for these small projects, essentially, that, and then we also have the mailing committee. So now maybe we know that you had a surgery, and we're sending a little card in the mail.
Right.
And the beautiful thing is with this is, if the visiting committee goes out and maybe they said, oh, they're having a rough week, let me bring those home baked cookies.
Yeah.
And while they're there, they're like, you know what? They really seem like they could use an encouraging letter in the mail.
Oh,
And
wow.
now you're tying it in. it all feeds into itself in such a way that, again, it just feels very organic.
Right.
And that way we can show up as, I consider it like a team of warriors.
Right.
And so, every one person, it's not just, oh, you saw me once and it was one person and no one else knows. We're kind of all communicating together about the needs of that client.
Right. Right. So I have a crazy question for you. I this is sort of a surprise question, but your conversation kind of made this pop in my head.
Mhm.
If you were given a blank check, what would be the first thing you guys would do?
Gosh, so I love this question because I feel like I have thought about this also. So I believe so, so strongly in sustainability.
Hmm.
And we have our building fund for when we can hopefully purchase the space we're moving into. We're currently able to occupy for $1 a year rent
Oh,
for the
wow.
next
Very
15
nice.
years. So we're not upset about that.
Yeah.
So we have this small pot of almost a $500,000 building fund
Oh,
pot.
nice.
And then we have just over $200,000 in an endowment, and that is for the sustainability of the program. So every $100 that gets into that pot provides one meal every year forever.
Oh, wow.
So if you have a loved one and you're like, you know what, their birthday's coming up and I don't know what to give them, you're like, you could give the gift of a meal. And that gift just keeps on giving. And if that pot reaches $4 million, it will pay for all of our food for the entire year for every client that we have.
Wow.
And I know that's like pie in the sky, but if it was a blank check,
Yeah.
that would absolutely be something that then we could go, gosh, if we can already cover their food, how can we reach further into our community? How can we absorb wait lists on other government Meals on Wheels programs? How can we partner in ways that,
Right.
again, bring something unique to these folks' lives? I talked about those digital frames that we all know,
Right.
and it has the photos that cycle. And one of the things that we realized when we were during COVID was every time we delivered, we put a letter onto the bag, and it had fun facts, this day 20 years ago, this day 100 years
Oh,
ago,
cool.
right? Those fun facts we all know.
Right.
And it talked about what we were dealing with, as a program, and it gave an encouraging note. And I cannot tell you how many times people said how much they loved that connection and kind of knowing what was going on and those fun facts.
Right.
And we even had folks that mailed them to loved ones in other states.
Oh,
Like,
cool.
that's how much they
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I equate that to maybe like a digital frame. And imagine if we could give everyone that was experiencing loneliness and isolation a frame. And we just, even if it was monthly, uploaded photos of the meals that were prepared or the volunteers that came through, or
Right.
maybe, someone in the office had a birthday or a vacation. And
Yeah.
it kind of brings the outside world to them in a way that they could participate without obviously having to jump in the car or leave
Right.
their home, which they may not be able to do. So, anyways, my point is that a blank check would secure the need
Mm-hmm.
and free us up for growth and opportunity. So, yeah, that was probably a very large answer to a
No,
singular question, but
that's a great answer, and that's the thing. It's like sometimes people just need to hear how can we help, and
Mhm.
some people have time, some people have money, some people have other resources like a building, and it's like okay. Sometimes they just need to know it's like okay, I don't have this thing, but I got this other thing, and I think I can help you out here. So I
exactly right.
and like you said, it's like if you can get to a certain level, especially financially, it opens
Mhm.
up the door for a lot of other things because the interest on the say 4 million will cover.
Mhm.
Okay, we got the food covered. Let's go after something else now. So that's really an amazing answer. I appreciate that a lot.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of that, we just also wrote a grant to Hootie and the Blowfish, if he's
Really?
listening. I know. And it was for funding for, we'd like to have a reserved pot or a dog ear or ear dogs. I always get that wrong. A pot that is specifically for clients who cannot get to doctor's appointments.
Okay.
We have found that transportation is a hardship for
Yes.
some of our folks. And my mom, who is my best and my worst volunteer, has adopted this client to the point of, doing things that I think would be more sustainable under the umbrella of our mission.
Right.
So it's not one singular person's responsibility to make sure someone gets to the doctor. So we have businesses in the area that provide transportation. We don't want to add that to the liabilities of what we do.
Right.
But with the pot of funding, we could say we have, Billy Bob who needs to go to this appointment. You can literally pay for that to happen. This agency will pick them up, stay with them during their appointment,
Oh,
and
nice.
bring them home.
Nice.
And it's like that is such a gift. And
Right.
so again, a simple thing like a grant
Yeah.
from an agency. So just to kind of throw that all out there, regardless of whether or not that blank check arrives, we're always trying to strategically move the needle.
Right.
So, because you're right, everyone that you talk to, there's always a talent or a gift or a treasure that, they'd love to do something good with.
Right. Yeah, I know, like, especially during COVID and like after COVID, like one of the things, my family appreciated was like, this new service that came out. It was through our healthcare stuff was Teledoc. It's like being able to get a doctor like within 30 minutes without having to get in the car and go somewhere and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that opened up so many things and resolved so much stuff that's like, oh, we didn't even really need to go anywhere kind of thing,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I say that one of the challenges, because there are other medical agencies that will do that, or
Oh,
even go
nice.
to your home and help.
Yeah.
So if it's like a smaller issue, they can like see the client in home. So we partner with those programs.
Right.
But then if they have to be obviously transported for
Right.
specialties, they do have to leave. But I 100% agree that that is just such a game changer, especially for seniors. Sometimes I think the other thing that I'd love to look into is like, how do we bring some of this technology into their home
Right.
in a way where they can feel comfortable to actually use it?
Right.
Because we have volunteers who said, oh yeah, I just went and spent 30 minutes setting up their remote control for their TV.
Oh, yeah.
Because like, look at how far we've come from, I mean, gosh, even 30 years ago.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, me and Crystal were talking a little bit before we started this podcast about AI, and and that's like one of the things that hasn't happened in the AI area. It's like, hey, how can I get just a simple device that will help me set up a remote? Have a chat with my grandchildren somewhere or stuff. So because like you said, we've all helped others, grandparents or whoever. And it's like, okay, it's going to take you 30 minutes, an hour, maybe longer to fix the laptop, the computer, the iPad or whatever, so that we can just talk,
Exactly. It's almost like you need a whole IT support center,
Right.
Yeah.
And the answer is to make something simple where it's like, you don't even need any of that. It should just work.
Yeah, in a perfect world.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. So I have to ask, you've been running a non-for-profit, but it's like running a small business, like we were talking about before. So what advice, you've learned a lot of things. Obviously, it's like, getting involved with this and going from a volunteer to like, hey, I'm running the whole thing. What advice would you have for others out there who are jumping in the deep end like you did?
Gosh, well, so I was also homeschooled before it was popular in
nice.
California, where you had to have a lawyer on speed dial in case someone knocked at the door and thought you were, being sheltered, or like all these horror stories. So one of the things that I feel like I learned through that experience is there's nothing that you cannot do.
Oh, cool.
Really, the whole growth mindset. I love that element. I would say, one, build a team around your weaknesses.
Oh, nice.
I thoroughly believe that if you remove your ego from what you are trying to do, you will have a much easier time in building the systems that you need to succeed.
Right.
And then to stay creative. And it's never failure. It's just growth. And you learn from everything. And be different. I think, one of the things that we have coming in the fall is a murder mystery dinner.
Oh, nice.
And we wanted a fundraiser that wasn't another golf tournament. It wasn't another gala.
Yes.
Because the truth is, those things exist and they're running really well for the folks that have built them years ago. But the economic, temperature of the room has changed, and people can't give buckets and buckets of money to every
Right.
nonprofit, right? So, what is an experience or what is something different that no one has touched yet? A demographic of people that might enjoy coming to this thing. So, it's not a hardship, and you're not begging the same person who just went to the same thing last week and the week before, but that you're able to kind of expose yourself in a new way
Yeah.
and then take the risk,
Yeah.
and then look to partners. So, we're going to have Flowertown Players, which is a local theater here.
Yeah.
They've created the script.
Oh,
They're
cool.
gonna have the 16 cast. We got the mayor to be the captain of the ship. It's gonna be on a cruise.
Oh, wow.
So, it'll be drinks with the captain for our
Nice.
sponsors. So it's like unique ways to engage folks in something that hopefully brings value. So don't be afraid to just be different. I think that sometimes we get just very comfortable, and especially maybe when you've done something for a longer period of time, you tend to be on repeat because you
Right.
know what works.
Right.
But I think in these days, and I'm sure you can attest to this, the same things aren't working.
No.
And so if you do not stay creative and open, you're going to, not become irrelevant, but have a harder time with relevancy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's just wonderful advice. And it's like, that kind of harkens back to like what we were talking about with COVID. It was a huge challenge, but it was a great opportunity because there was a lot of stuff to learn from that. And everybody did have to change. And so you learned how to do things in different ways. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Crystal. This has been a great conversation.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Bill. Thank you so much.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Billotte, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of Lowcountry innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.